Hi everyone, welcome to StudyIQ. So आज lesson रे में देखिवा. In the today's lesson we will go through the local and all the wind system of the world, where we will discuss the local wind, we will discuss the seasonal wind, we will discuss the trade wind. Apart from that, we will also discuss your sea breeze, land breeze, valley breeze, all this wind I will try to cover, right? So this would be there. Chalo fir. Next. So just a minute. Now, see, so here is the global wind. The first we will talk about what exactly the wind. What exactly the wind? So wind is what? Is a form of energy. The wind is what? Is a form of energy which blows horizontally. Is a form of energy which blows horizontally, right? Is what? That is horizontally. It would be what? Which blows horizontally. So that means the wind is what? The form of energy which blows horizontally. It moves horizontally. But air is what? It moves vertically. It moves what? Vertically. It moves what? Vertically. So this is how the difference. If you see the difference, so that would be your basic difference. So basic difference will be there. Hope you are getting me. So that would be the basic difference, right? So that will be the basic difference. When we comes to the basic difference, that's as I said, the wind will horizontal moves and the air will vertical movement of the air will be happens. So this is the difference between the horizontal or the vertical movements, as I said, the wind. Now what is the reason for the blowing of the wind? Then comes to the, these are the winds. Here you can see these are the trade wind. This one is westerly, this one is westerly. So these are the winds on the figure you can see. So here you can see these are, this one is equator from the subtropical high pressure from the both side. This is the Cancer and the Capricorn, and this one is the what? Low pressure, subtropical low pressure, high pressure, the both the ends. So basically what happens? So basically what will happens? The wind blows from the high pressure to low pressure under the pressure gradient. Under the what? Pressure gradient. If there is no pressure difference, then how the wind will origin? Obviously, for the origin of the wind, we need different pressure belt or in the differentiation of the pressure. Now one thing you have to, then I would say, you may ask me, so what exactly then? So the pressure belt also different things. You need to, everybody need to know what exactly the pressure belts, right? How the pressure belt do works. So the pressure belt is something, right? Just a minute. So I would say that means for the origin of wind we need pressure belt, right? And that means the wind is always blows from the high pressure to the low pressure, from the high pressure to the low pressure. The wind will always blows from the high pressure to the low pressure under the pressure, under the influence of what? Pressure gradient. Under the influence of pressure gradient. Under the what? Influence of pressure gradient. So this is how it happens, under the influence of pressure gradient. So this is right. Now the point is that what? So this, let's say here is 100 MB and here is 90 MB. That means, so the wind will blow from 100 to 90. as due to the pressure gradient. So this is how the pressure gradients is important things for the movement of the wind, right? Next thing is that when the pressure, then what exactly the pressure? Pressure means what? That means low pressure and high pressure. There is what? Two type of pressure, that is the low pressure and high pressure. The pressure is what? One is your low pressure, one is your high pressure. So this two pressure are there. One is your high pressure and one is your low pressure. Now the pressure is dependent on what? That is the concentration of air. So simple, I mean the pressure, whether it is a low pressure or high pressure, that is depends on concentration of air, or air, that is air. What? Though air is linked with temperature, as the air is linked with temperature, that is why many of you do say that if high temperature, pressure would be low, but that is not universal. That is not universal. May not be. There may be dynamic condition. That may be dynamic condition as well. If temperature is low, then pressure would be high. This is how the inverse relation is having. The pressure and temperature is having always inverse relation. As I mentioned, it will have always inverse relation. As there is the inverse relation, that means opposite relation. So that is why if a region of the earth surface is having high temperature, so definitely if the region is having high temperature, definitely it will have what? Low pressure. If the region is having low temperature, like the polar region, that will have your high pressure, and that is why the polar region is high pressure, this region is high pressure. But one thing you have to remember here is that, as I write, here is your high pressure because of low temperature, here is your high pressure because of your low temperature, here is your low pressure because you have high temperature, here is your, but that this region is your high pressure. This one high pressure, this one is high pressure, this one is low pressure, subpolar low pressure, this one is low pressure, subpolar low pressure, right? So this is how on the plane, if I arrange, if there is one high pressure, it would be bonded by two low pressure on the both side, on the both side. This would be flat ground on the ground. But when I compare to the top to down, if the top is having low pressure, the bottom will have your high pressure. If the bottom is having low pressure, the top will have high pressure. This is how I would say the circulation goes on. The circulation goes on. So these things you have to remember. This thing you have to remember. Otherwise, it would be difficult to connect the things while you are moving through the climatology for the UPSC and the civil services examination, right? Other civil services examination in the state level as well. So this is thing you have to remember. Okay. Now, that means first of all, I will comes to say, so there is a trade wind. We will talk about first the trade wind. We will try to talk about trade winds, right? What is trade wind? The trade winds means they are the primary winds. So wind are basically three types of wind. That would be primary, that would be primary, secondary, or seasonal, and local, or tertiary, or tertiary, or this would be your, you may say also monsoonal, also the monsoonal, the seasonal, monsoonal, local, tertiary wind. This is primary or global wind, or global wind, right? Or your global wind, primary wind or global wind, secondary wind or monsoonal wind, you may say. But the primary, the secondary wind origins due to the modification of your primary winds, right? Then local wind, the local wind would be your, that would be your sea breeze, land breeze, that means in the valley region and the mountain region, that would be in coastal region, that would be in coastal region, that would be in desert region. So the local wind would be in different places, it will be in different type of, right? So these would be local winds. And then wind also there, geostrophic wind, another wind also there called as geostrophic wind, right? Called as geostrophic wind. That is also called as geostrophic wind. The geostrophic wind is a upper atmospheric wind. It's a what? Upper atmospheric wind, which is like a jet stream. It's also jet stream. It's also a what? Jet stream. It's also jet stream. Upper geostrophic wind or jet stream, when it blows parallel to the latitude in the of atmosphere, in the what? That is the close to the tropopause or in stratosphere or below the stratosphere, or you may say below the stratosphere, right? That will happen. Okay. So pressure, low pressure, high pressure is done. Now low pressure, high pressure is done, as we have gone through that one. Okay. So now we will comes to the trade wind fast. Now we will comes to the global wind fast, the primary wind or the global wind, whatever you may say. Either you may say it's a global wind, or you may say it's a primary wind, whatever you may say. Right, either you may say global wind or it's a primary wind. Right. So fast, this one is your trade wind, this one is your trade wind, this one is westerly, this one also westerly, right? So these two. There is also easterly, here is also easterly, the easterly also coming like this, the easterly is also coming like this, the easterly is also, this one is your easterly. The cold, there is also easterly, the cold air mass. So easterly means polar easterly. See, easterly is two type, one is polar easterly, one is this one also called as the easterly. That means this trade wind, these two trade wind, they are also called as easterly, but this is polar easterly, they are tropical easterly, they are what? Tropical easterly, or you may say better to say trade wind or trade winds or trade winds. Either you may say trade winds or the easterly, but if you are saying easterly, then here would be polar easterly, here would be also polar easterly. You have to remember, right? You have to remember that there is also polar easterly. So these things are there, right? So these things are there. Hope this much is clear to all. Now one by one we will study one by one. What led to the formations of trade wind? See, this one is your high pressure belt, this one is your high pressure belt. This high pressure is formed dynamically, this high pressure is formed dynamically. This one is your low pressure, is thermally induced low pressure. This one is what? The tropical low pressure is thermally induced low pressure. Being a thermally induced low pressure, right? And obviously hope many of you are aware, this is like what? Hartley cell, Ferrel cell, polar cell, right? So cells are there, cells are there. So these cells are very much necessary for the your what? For the development of different, I would say, wind, the wind, right? So the development of different winds, right? So these winds are basically, I would say, these winds are formed due to the circulation of tricellular model, or you may say that is what? Atmospheric circulation. That is what? Atmospheric circulation. Due to this atmospheric circulation, this wind comes to exist. This winds comes to exist, right? Everybody finds. Okay. Due to this, there would be, I would say, the what? Due to this, there comes to exist. So one reason, if somebody will ask, okay, this high pressure is what? Dynamically induced high pressure. This one thermally induced low pressure, dynamically induced high pressure, Again, this one is dynamically induced, and but polar high pressure is your thermally induced high pressure. This one is thermally induced high pressure. Both the subtropical low pressure are dynamically induced low pressure. When I say dynamically induced low pressure means simple, if I say that high pressure or low pressure, they are dynamically formed. I mean, they are formed due to the rotation of earth, due to the what? Rotation of earth. Earth is dynamic, and that is why. Had it be stationary, if the earth were stationary, there could have been only single cell. It would have been unicellular model. It would have been what? Unicellular model. But as the earth is rotating on its axis, that is why there is a three cells forms like called rightly Hadley cell, Ferrel cell, polar cell. As the wind picks here from here, it moves ascend, moves like this and descends here due to the what? Rotation of earth. As the wind descend here, adiabatically it would be compressed to form a subtropical high pressure, which we call it what? That is what? Tropic of Cancer. Tropic of Cancer, right? If anybody is having doubt, I'm watching you. You can also comment me there out there. Okay, watching you as well. Reading your comment, you can also share your thought, right? So the trade winds are like this. The trade winds are like this. So that is why, as the wind, because of the high temperature over the equator, as the equator receives high insolation throughout the year, because of its locational factor, the wind will, I would say what, the air will move off, the air will ascend, then it will move both the hemisphere. Then it will move both the hemisphere. One part, let's say this is your floor, earth floor, right? From here the air will move, it will move into both the hemisphere. As it moves, try to comes to the pole. It tries to comes to the pole, but it will descend over the Tropic of Capricorn, because as earth is rotating, had the earth, right, were stationary, the wind would have moved directly to the pole and descend in the pole, so that it would have single cell. It would have what? Single cell. But due to the